Welcome to the Money Watch Show. It's Saturday, November 15th, and we are here talking about all the things that might matter to you and your financial life. The we is me. I'm Jill Schlesinger, CBS News business analyst, and I'm also a certified financial planner. My cohort is Mark Talercio. He is my executive producer. He is also a certified financial planner. And Mark, what many people don't know who listen to this broadcast is that you and I have been working together for quite some time, going all the way back to the days when you were at CBS News. So we met, I believe, in 2009 when I first started at CBS, and you were working in the radio division, right?
Correct. I started 2005, and that's, we met a few years later.
Okay, so the reason why I'm laughing about this is that Mark, when I told Mark what I wanted to talk about today, he was like, oh my God, that gives me flashbacks. Because when Mark and I first really met and we worked together closely was at the end of 2009. The guy who ran CBS Radio asked me and Mark to do a year-end special. Remember, it was right after the financial crisis. Do you remember all this, Mark?
Of course I remember. It was you, it was me, and the late, great Dave Barrett.
And it was very interesting because we interviewed a lot of people, like people that you've probably seen now. Like, I think we interviewed Andrew Ross Sorkin. Who else?
Sheila Bair.
Sheila Bair. She was from the FDIC. We had a couple of really big names. It was great. And we were talking about, the market and the job market and all this. And so I was thinking about that because, a lot of people talking about like, oh my God, our market's going to be going crazy. Like, are we heading into another financial crisis? A lot of like people talking about this. I'm not saying we're going there because we're not. But the reason why I'm queuing this up in this way is that we are starting to see some little cracks. And we've talked about this, that we think that there are two economies rolling at the same time. Some people are referring to this as the K-shaped economy, Mark, where the folks who are earning more money, like the top 15, 20% of people in terms of household wealth or income, they're doing fine. Their stocks have had an incredible run. Their portfolios have done fine. Their house values are up. And even if maybe they haven't gotten a big wage increase, if you're making more than $175,000 or $200,000, chances are, and you own some assets, things are pretty good, right? That we hear that on this show and on Jill on Money. We hear this all the time. But for everyone else, it doesn't feel so good. And sometimes we hear from those folks, and it's tough. So there was a report out recently from the New York Federal Reserve, which was kind of stark in that this is household debt, and the debt levels are rising pretty dramatically. So what I thought would be interesting would be for you guys to listen to a segment that I recently did for CBS Mornings, where we discussed household debt and some strategies for paying down debt. And then Mark and I are going to talk about what the real key is to how you manage your debt and the key as to whether or not people can get through the debt that they have actually accumulated or whether they can't. So here's a recent segment from CBS Mornings. The anchors are Nate Burleson, Gayle King, and Tony Dokoupil.
I'm thinking about people that have multiple debt. How do you decide which one to pay off first? How do you prioritize?
So I think that these numbers are always astounding. Yeah. But if you go down to our individual levels, if you have a few $1,000s in credit card debt, and then there's a student loan, and then there's an auto loan, it can really freeze you into inaction. I always like going with the highest interest debt first. So that's usually a credit card, which is really right now around 20%. Highest interest, and you work your way down. So we'll start with my credit card, which is 25%. I'll try to put all of my money focused on that. If I have some free money after that, maybe I'll look at my auto loan, which is also a high rate, and then the student loan. I want to make sure that people understand that these numbers are huge. A lot of that number that we just said, that 18 trillion, is also mortgages. I kind of consider mortgages good debt, not bad debt, because it helps. Well, just because it helps you buy something that you hope appreciates in value.
And yet you say homeowners shouldn't pay off their mortgages early.
Two reasons why. Because we want people to have access to their money. What we know now is prices are going up. If you use the money on hand to pay down your mortgage and something happens later, what are you going to do? Oh, I'm going to take my dining room into the hospital because I have an unpaid hospital bill that I have to make. You want to have access to your money.
Yeah.
Also want to say more than half of the people who have mortgages right now, those rates are under 4% and 70% have rates under 5%. Try not to pay down a mortgage too quickly.
If things are really bad, how do you know they're bad enough that you should declare bankruptcy?
Well, I think that, first of all...
Because we hear about wealthy people doing it.
Yeah, and companies, by the way.
Companies.
So the bankruptcy law exists for a fresh start.
Okay.
If you are banging up against this and you cannot make any headway, you talk to a bankruptcy attorney, you learn what the process is about. Because this is not to be taken lightly. You're going to basically trash your credit for 5, 6, 7 years. You're not going to be able to borrow more money. And you may not have every single one of your liens dismissed. If you owe the IRS money, that's not going to be dismissed. If you owe alimony or child support, that's not going to be dismissed. And student loans are not dismissible under bankruptcy laws.
Can you just move to Costa Rica and start a new life?
Well, yes. I mean, I think there's a movie about that somewhere, but I wouldn't suggest it. Also, just one other thing about credit cards. Please call these companies and ask for some relief, especially if you're a government worker, you've just gotten laid off. Communicate
They'll work with
them.
you.
You don't ask, you don't get.
Those mouths don't get fed.
Exactly right.
Okay, so Mark, $18.6 trillion in debt. That is everything from a mortgage, a car, credit card, student loans. It's huge. It's record high. Now, the thing is, I believe that while this is a big, huge number, I also know that the researchers who conducted this survey at the New York Fed said, interestingly, households are hanging in. And you know what I think the key is? It's the labor market. Because as long as people have jobs, they seem to be able to make their debt payments. But how do we jibe that with a labor market that's cooling? That's the part when you and I were first working together, that it was the labor market that was really crumbling. And that's like the cascading issue. It's like, maybe I didn't buy a house with a lot of borrowed money. Maybe I didn't get into a problem. But if I was just a normal person out there working, then I lost my job. That's when the problem started to mount. So I think that's why the Fed cut interest rates. I think they're more concerned about the labor market. How concerned should we be about the labor market right now, Mark?
Well, like you said, I don't think it's like it was when we were doing that year-end special in what year was that, 2009?
2009, yep.
Yeah, I don't think it's like that, but there's reasons to be cautious, I would say. I mean, it's there's a lot of uncertainty all around us right now.
Yeah. Yep. And what's interesting is that, without all the official government data, we rely on these alternative measures of labor market health. Now, one of them is this survey called the Challenger Gray and Christmas Survey. Okay, this is an outplacement firm. These numbers change month to month. So I just want to give you the numbers and don't freak out. But job cuts for October totaled more than 150,000. And that is a big change from the previous month. And it's a big change from a year ago. So 153,000 jobs cut, the highest level for any October since 2003. And this year is the worst year for layoffs since, ding, 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 Mark, 2009. Now, it is the worst year, but it is nothing like that. So the question is, we know that tech sector companies are cutting jobs in a big way. So of those 153, about 33,000 announced cuts. Okay. Is this because of AI, or is this just like we're pruning? Like we don't need as many people and we are spending a lot of money on AI. So is this a real problem? Should I worry about AI taking my job, or what? What should we leave people with here?
No, I think it is because of AI.
You do?
I can't say that 100%. I haven't done all the research, but if you just ask me off the top of my head, I think it probably is related to that in large part. I mean, I think you're going to see some sort of transformation here as all these AI jobs come on.
I think that as you have AI come online and you have that that technology and that productivity, I think first of all, you don't need the same number of people doing other jobs. But also, I think that a lot of these companies were bulking up to do different things, and now they know the AI bet is actually paying off. So it's not necessarily that like I'm replacing Jill with AI, but it's like Jill was here to do one thing. We're not pursuing that anymore, and we're really focused on AI. So I don't think we know the answer to this yet. I really don't. But I mean, there have been a lot of cuts. I mean, there's a lot of people working in this economy. Okay. There's 150 something million people in the, I think 160 million in labor force. Companies have announced 1.1 million cuts. All right. That's a lot. And so I know that freaks people out, but I think that there's also this uncertainty that is flowing through the economy. And I think this is a lot about the tariffs. I think this is a lot about the slowdown in general, about like what's going to happen. And I think this is the time where, you know, you start to see like, oh, I can't just leave my job and get any old job. In fact, I got to be very careful. And I love this term, Mark, that is called job hugging. I totally love that idea. Hanging on to your job because you're nervous. I think this is really smart, actually. I really do. And I think that
I'm giving you a virtual hug right now.
I know. Thank you.
Because you are my job.
I know. And I think that this, for anyone listening here, one of the things that you got to know is that forgetting about that, you know, businesses are slowing down, they're hiring. And we also know if you lose your job, you have a hard time finding another one. You don't have a lot of bargaining power. I would be very careful. Someone came to me and asked me, should I take this new job? It was offered to me. You better be ironclad in your decision making, because I think especially when young people leave, one of the big mistakes they make is that as the economy turns over, like we go into a leg down. If we were to, I don't know if we are, often it's the last person in that is the first person out. And I think that's something you have to guard against. So here's what I think. You got to fight the urge to just hunker down and hide and be proactive. You focus on what you can control. You raise your hand for new opportunities in your current job. You update that LinkedIn profile. You fire up your network. You respond to people that have been, you know, asking for your help. Help somebody today that could boost you in the future. I just think that we understand that there are a lot of people out there who are seeking jobs, and losing a job once the economy has already taken a leg down is really bad. And it hurts your income sometimes hurt your income for years. So we want to guard against that. And so, you know, obviously, as we talk about household debt, we want to make sure you keep your job. As we talk about household debt, we want to make sure that you stay liquid. For some of you who are like, oh, I want to pay off my mortgage. No, we want you to maintain that liquidity. And you know, as we come into the holiday season, ladies and gentlemen, I also want to just say this 1,000 times. Even if you've been denying yourself for months, do not use the holidays as a time to splurge. It really can backfire when your January bills appear. And so just set your spending limit today. Find someone who's going to keep you on track. And talk to your family and friends. One time I said to my friend, I said, you know, let's just not do presents. And she got really mad at me. I'm like, I don't understand. Like, you love Christmas, but this is so stupid. Like, why are we spending money at this time? It's like an emotional salve, and it really does nothing. It comes back and bites you. Well, listen, if you're worried about your job, if you're a job hugger, if you've lost your job and you're worried about like what happens next, what is the hierarchy of your priorities, get in touch with us. Go to JillOnMoney.com. Click the contact us button, write us a note. And if you want to join us live, check the box and Mark will arrange to get you on the air. And check out all the stuff that's on our website. Sign up for the free weekly newsletter. Be sure to know that we are here for you, especially if you're going through a hard time. And we're happy to help you out. You can subscribe to us on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcast. Please leave us a rating and review wherever you listen. Mark Talercio is the co-host, executive producer, and king of all things web. Paramount Skydance is the one who helps us launch this here podcast. We ask that you lift someone up, change your work, change your wealth, change your life. Thank you for listening. We'll talk to you tomorrow.